Katie, yours. Oh.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville's regular council meeting. Today's Tuesday, March 10th, 2015, approximately 7 p.m. If we'd all kindly rise for the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mayor Arsenko?
Here.
Mrs. Gatos?
Here.
Dr. Griesbach?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Johns?
Here.
Mr. Clary?
Here.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Little?
Here.
Mr. Dice?
Here.
Mr. Lally?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
Mr. Chufo?
Here.
Okay, we're going to open up the floor for public comment on the proposed agenda items only. For those of you who want to address council, there will be time at the very end, and hopefully we won't be that long. But for proposed, anybody with public comment on the proposed agenda items only? Seeing none, we'll move over to the approval of our minutes in council. If you'll please look at the Citizens Night meeting of January 8th, 2015, the Citizens Night meeting of February 5th, 2015, council work session of February 5th, 2015, and the regular council meeting of February 10th, 2015. Are there any additions or corrections, council? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And if you'll look over the approval for the reports of our tax collections, once again, council, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And going over our
Mayor.
I'm sorry?
Question.
Yes, sir.
I spoke to Mr. Fulgerson yesterday and asked to find out how much they have collected this year,
Okay.
2015, in the delinquent taxes, and he was going to have that, and did he give it to you, Tim?
Are you talking about the delinquent taxes for real estate, mercantile, everything, mercantile
Yeah,
business? I mean, for mercantile and business or everything?
Mercantile business,
Mercantile and business.
the delinquent ones.
The delinquent, correct.
Yeah.
I can have a full report. I got a report from Liz for last month, but I can have a full report here, and I'll give that.
I understand that the collections are coming in rather
Correct.
evenly and so forth, but,
Oh, no, they're good, they're good.
yeah, it's very good, yes, and I wanted to...
As a matter of fact, on the green sheet, that is your tax collection report, you can see under the delinquent 511 taxes, the mercantile tax, 62% we've collected, we've budgeted. Business privilege tax, 64% on those two. The other ones are licenses. But right there is telling you that we're, doing a good job.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to get out to the
Yeah.
public. Yes.
Well, Tim, if you can, if you'll just get that information and send that to council via email, if you would, sir. Council, good with that? Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, again, moving over to our payroll report. Once again, any questions or comments? Seeing none, motion on the floor.
Motion.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And for the listening audience and for those of us that joined us, all these issues, why we're sipping right through them, we did discuss them at our work session last Thursday, just so everybody does know, okay? Moving over to our vacancies in our boards, commissions, and authorities, council.
Is that
Our-
the list of?
List of bills.
list-
Oh, I'm sorry, list of bills and budget transfers, you're right, thank you. Going too fast. Any questions or comments, corrections or additions on our list of bills and budget transfers? Seeing none, is there a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
And now, council, any nominations or appointments to the vacancies on our boards?
I have one, Mayor.
Please.
I'd like to appoint James Rosenpaul to the Zoning Hearing Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any others, Steve?
Mayor, I have one.
That's all I have.
I would like to nominate Jim Brown to the Monroeville Finance Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other nominations, council?
Yes,
There's one, Mr. Mayor. Kim Krivda to the Planning and Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any others?
I have one more, sir. I believe this is an appointment, Antoinette Anglin to the Library Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any others, Paul?
And that's it.
Nick?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to appoint Patricia Kahn to the Library Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any others? Linda?
I want to appoint someone, but there's a motion to accept his resignation from one board first. How do we do that?
Well, I think what you do is make a motion to nominate tonight, right?
Yeah.
That's not an appointment. We can take up his resignation at a later time.
Okay. I'd like to make a nomination for Zane Donaldson, excuse me, to the Civil Service Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Any other nominations or appointments, council? Seeing none, we'll go over to the new business, and that'd be 14-7-C, Andrew Stewart, Monmouth Partners. Are they here?
That's tabled.
Well, I still thought I needed to announce it out, though.
Yeah, I do.
And obviously, that would be for item number 1, 2, 3, and 4. They are asking for a table.
Correct.
Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
That's for all four of them.
That's for all 4 of them.
All four.
Second.
Yeah, that's two conditional uses, a site plan and a subdivision.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey? Aye. Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And now we have a motion on the floor, so
Yeah, the first motion is a motion to accept Zane Donaldson's resignation from the Personnel Board.
is there a motion
I'll
on the
make
floor?
a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And Tim, if you'll go to the resolutions.
Okay, resolutions. The first resolution has to do with the tabled new business with the development of Pandas Express. A resolution this is a tabling of the Monmouth Partners Panda Express sewage planning module.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion.
Is there a
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
Okay, second resolution is a resolution authorizing the distribution of grant funds for the Memorial Day Parade at the work session.
So moved.
Council discussed this about increasing the amount from $3,200 to either $5,000 or $6,000. And Mr. Lally, our Chief Financial Officer, went through, and we're going to increase it to $5,000.
There's a motion and a second?
No, I didn't hear a second.
No, I'm asking for a
Okay.
second. A motion, is there a
Motion.
second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
I have a
Wait,
comment.
I have
Oh,
a
sure.
comment.
There you go.
Now, that money we're taking out of the council's budget,
That
correct?
is correct.
And that
So
tapped
it's-
us.
And that was $1,800, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that, just to make it clear to the public, that money's coming from the council's budget.
Right.
Not out of the,
Good idea.
And just also for the public to know, that's the first time we've raised them in many, 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 many years.
How many years?
Probably at
Many.
15.
Well, you
20.
know, they deserved it, absolutely. It's great for the Memorial Day Parade, and just, so that's all we had left. we gave them everything.
No, I got it, I got it.
That's many years.
Wish we could have done more.
Thanks, Tom.
I spoke to Bob Gibson today on the phone. He called me, and he said, thank you very much. He's appreciative of whatever we can give him.
No, motion on the floor.
There is
And there was a
motion.
second.
And a second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, if you would.
A resolution authorizing the distribution of grant funds for the Monroeville Independence festivities.
Motion approved.
Is there a
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Tim,
Okay, a resolution adopting the Shri Shirdi Sai Baba Temple Sewage Planning Module.
motion on the floor.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
I'm not sure what I'm voting for.
Yeah, there's no explanation on this one.
If you would.
I'll explain.
I apologize, I'm just not sure what I'm voting.
Excuse me. With any development, as you see all developments that come through, if there's an increase in their water usage, which means there's an increase in their sewage, through the DEP, they are required to get a sewage planning module, and that has to be approved by the local government. Those calculations are done by the the engineer. They are approved by the Monroeville Municipal Authority, the DEP, the Monroeville Municipal Authority, Allegheny County Health Department, Alcoasand, all have to approve it, but we ultimately have to pass a resolution for the additional sewage.
Has everybody approved it?
Yes, everything's in order.
Mr. Johns.
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
All righty, Tim, if you would.
Okay, number 5 is a resolution authorizing the appointment of Piper Jaffray and Company Investment Banker to complete an analysis of the municipality's present debt and potential debt service structure, but does not obligate the municipality for Piper Jaffray to become the underwriter of the 2010 and 2011 bond series refunding.
Motion on the floor.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Clary?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And we'll move over to reports of our municipal staff. There are no,
Mayor.
Bruce.
I have no additional report.
Mayor,
Tim.
excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I think I missed a nomination for Dennis
Appointment.
Biondo.
Appointment.
Pardon me? An appointment, I'm sorry.
You have the floor, sir.
I think I missed an appointment for Dennis Biondo,
So you'd like to nominate?
and I'd like to nominate.
No, no,
Dennis.
he was already nominated. You're
No, you're going to appoint
you're
him.
going to appoint him.
I'm getting a lot of,
Appoint him.
It's called feedback.
oh, thank you. Yes.
I thought it was called peanut gallery.
I think I'll have to adjust.
I get that.
Anyway, I would like to have Dennis Biondo from the 7th Ward be on the Planning Commission.
Second.
That's a nomination.
No, it's
The nomination.
That's an appointment.
appointment.
It's appointment.
Appointment. See, I told you, I'm getting this.
Thank you. Well, that's good.
Boy, we know what we're
Thank
doing,
you.
huh?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay,
Thank
let's
you.
go back to reports of our municipal staff. And Bruce, you have nothing, correct?
Correct.
And Timmy, you have one item.
Yeah, well, I actually have 2, but the one it's on there is just a reminder that the work session agenda-setting meeting for April will not be on April the 9th, but it'll be on April the 8th, Wednesday. Okay, that's just a reminder for the public. Also, I was talking to Chief Cole before the meeting, and we talked about it at the staff meeting on Monday. This Friday at 3 o'clock, we're going to be opening up the police substation at Monroeville Mall. So council, if you can make it there, my understanding is Representative Markozic will be there, and obviously the mayor, and I think Senator Brewster will be there also. Okay, so that's 3 o'clock this Friday, okay, for the benefit of the public, and that's all I have.
Paul?
No, sir.
John?
No, sir.
All righty, now we'll open up the public comment on any item that you would like to address council. I know some folks signed in, you don't have to worry about that. Come on up and whoever wants to address us. It is your turn and time to talk to council. You want to sign in if you didn't sign?
did.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
If you would stand at a microphone.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for listening to my concern this evening.
Could you state your name, please?
My name is Marcia Sussman, and I reside at 148 Monticello Drive, and I have for decades. My concern is with a company called First Energy, which basically has taken over for West Penn Power transmission lines. Now, if you're familiar with Monticello, there's a big transformer sending unit at Ramsey School area. It goes all the way through the center of Monticello and ends up at Alan Weiss's home, so that the lines run right through the middle of the street. For decades, West Penn Power trimmed the trees. They trimmed the trees. Apparently, First Energy has the so-called easement rights to axe the trees and leave stumps everywhere that they wish to do so. Then, they said, they have the right to spray an EPA-approved chemical over what they didn't kill the first time to ensure there is no regrowth. I offered to pay for the trimming myself. That's not acceptable.
Is this on your property?
It's on my property, yes, as well as several other residents. I did bring you the certified letter. However, in here, it will tell you they're going to mark the trees for trimming and some of the trees that they're going to take down to stumps. But they told me they're not going to trim anything. They're going to cut every tree the way they want to cut them. It is so horrifying to watch.
Who did you talk to?
Name it.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I've done
see.
everything I possibly can do. It's horrible. First of all, it's going to devalue the property faster than a lead balloon, because I know what I'm looking at. Every reasonable option to talk to these people, it's like, look, we have the power to do so. You look at the line, 50 feet this way, 50 feet this way, it's ours. I'm asking if we can have a meeting with First Energy. They've contracted through Asplund, but I'm sure Asplund is contracted so they can assume legal liability for whatever goes wrong. But if there could possibly be a meeting.
Sure, I don't know why that we can't.
Can I
Very
ask
much
a question?
appreciate-
If this is happening on Monticello, is this not, are we going to find this be happening throughout the entire borough?
I would assume yes.
Well,
Go
wait, I have-
ahead.
If I may tell you something else, I have the letter for you, and I have a brochure that they send out for maintaining a safe and reliable
Is this a
transmission.
copy?
No, don't worry, they send twice.
Okay.
Once.
If you'll give it to Tim,
Sure.
so we can distribute
Once
it.
being certified.
Okay.
But they have explained that they're really not interested in any trimming or negotiable circumstance. They just want to axe trees, and they don't even have to remove the lumber. If they choose to just leave your yard with debris, they say they have the right to do so. Also, I was on, yes, yes, and I was on the phone with Alan Weiss this morning, who can't be here because he's out of town. The transformer that's located on his property, and this is visible, has lines that you can hear crackle, and the casing that surrounds the electrical wire is disintegrating. How do you know that? You can see it on his tennis courts. The line is disintegrate, the casing.
Oh, I got
He
it,
said
I got
at
it.
one time they were to put porcelain casings along the wire. They left them in his tennis court. So therefore, you have this black powder coming from an existing unit that isn't even, I would assume, safe. In fact, he asked me, when's the last time they trucked the unit for radiation emission? I mean, I'm not an electrical person, but there has to be some type of measure for what's coming out of these monstrosities. And at that time, prior to my living, because I believe he was one of the first residents on Monticello, he said they did spray an area of trees to the right of his home on property he owns. He said, look at Google Maps, Marcia. It's death. They killed, with an EPA-approved chemical, a very large section of trees. Nothing grows there.
Paul or
But
Mark,
it was an
do we know about
EPA-approved.
this?
First I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if-
I mean, they came in over the holidays, the representative from First Energy, and when they originally talked about it, it was over the north, excuse me, the north end of Monroeville, towards Boyce Park, and said that they would be there at some point in time, but they had never mentioned, how far they were going and what the limits they were doing. And they gave us a brochure, and I gave it to Mr. Little.
Yeah, this definitely impacts the second ward. If the same power lines, they come from, if you're coming down Saunders Station, near Redgate, Foxborough, it comes from like the Westinghouse property, crosses over, and it will impact the houses on Tower Lawn and then Hillsdale, because both, it's a very similar setup as Monticello, where both backyards share that power line, so to speak. So by clear cutting that area, it definitely dramatically impacts both front and back neighbors. Then as it crosses over past Hillsdale through Beechwood Park, comes out through Monticello as well. I drove up there today, actually, and was looking at the setup. And it really definitely would negatively impact all the neighbors that are up there.
It's a terrible impact. Actually,
And I
the-
spoke to Mr. Dice earlier, and he had a very good suggestion. I'll give him some credit.
You don't have to. I get paid. I get paid. Just make sure you get.
Well, I came up with an idea then, we'll say that. I came up with an idea today. No, maybe have Mr. Little and through Mr. Hugis's department contact, I guess it'd be First Energy, and get a detailed plan of like specifically what,
Why don't we just do one better than that, Nick?
They're gonna
We
do.
get a meeting and get some of all the residents affected and have them sit down. and
Yes,
read it.
because
well, we already
many are
know
away.
that,
I wouldn't do that, because that's going to turn into a slugfest. I think what you should do is get your people to meet with their higher-ups, not some guy in the field. Go talk to somebody that's in charge of this program, and Paul might know somebody. Get him in here and discuss what's going on, and tell him your concerns about clear cutting and chemicals. Here's the bottom line, though.
Go ahead.
Were they there when you moved in? The towers?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, see, part of the
Absolutely.
problem is someone's going to say to you, well, wait a second, you bought that property and it was there, so you knew it was there, you knew what the circumstances were. They're going to say that, and I don't necessarily agree with it because it's built up over the years. But they may well be within their rights under their easement to keep those lines safe from trees.
Okay, but may I ask?
And
you-
I agree that it should be maybe just trimming, but that's my interpretation. They might say, look, we don't want to come back out here every year and trim these trees. We want it done once, and we don't have to come back for 20 years, because it's money to them. I think you should let the borough officials attempt to meet with some of the higher-ups there and see if they can reach some sort of an agreement where they agree to just trim, and that they, that we'll maintain in some fashion, or you'll help to maintain, and, offer that kind of assistance so that there's kind of a compromise versus the clear cutting remedy.
My hat's off to you if you can do that.
Well, I mean, I think, and then I want you to know, you do have, and I don't know what the borough's authority is in this mess, okay? I would
Yeah,
suggest to you, this is between you and the utility company, and we don't regulate the utility company. We don't
I
have any
understand.
authority over them. You could go to the PUC.
I called.
But I think that if you feel aggrieved by this, you certainly, as the landowner, have a right to go to court and ask for an injunction. That's expensive. But I mean, if there's enough of you that feel outraged by this, you might find it in your best interest to file a complaint in equity and ask for an injunction. Now you're in front of some judge, and some judge is going to mediate it. He's going to say, well, can't you do something less than clear cut? That's going to be the kind of thought that would go on in front of a court. But I think the first step is to do what Nick suggested, and that is, let's get together with somebody that knows what they're talking about and see if there's a way to come up with a compromise.
Well, we also need to find out where else they're planning on doing
Sure, that
this
can be
prior
part
to, it coming to the, my area or, Mr. Duncan's area. Let's find out what their big plan
Yeah,
is.
and I'm sure they'll.
Address it
I don't
all.
think they'll have a problem telling you that.
Yeah.
Nick, this is your.
Over
Go ahead, Steve.
my years of working with the different companies, and I've never heard of them cutting on private property. I understand they have the rights, but usually they would agree to trim, just like they do along the highways currently.
Excuse
And
me,
and that's not beautiful, some of the trees, I've seen them butcher, but
but you are correct.
I've never heard of them.
You are
completely
absolutely
clear
correct.
cutting.
But First Energy now owns the transmission lines. That was true when it was West Penn Power. And I think.
We need to ask them why their policy would be different.
You need to hear it from them. I'm not sure.
Okay.
You got to remember something. There's a lot of hearsay here. A lot of different people have been in this. You want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Right.
Well, Nick, this is certainly your ward, but I would have no issue with maybe you, myself, whoever would want to sit and talk with them. But I still think the residents have a right to sit with us after that at
Oh,
least.
sure.
Thank you.
And
Maybe
give
there's a
them
second meeting.
give them their input and let them, what options that are out there. So if you're okay with that.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do we know, does the PUC regulate their allowed easements? Or is that borough code, or is it?
No, it would be, they would regulate the company and the transmission of electricity. I would think they would also have something to say about how that transmission gets done, which might include the trees, being the PUC.
Okay.
Mayor,
Sir,
just one comment. Don't attempt to trim these trees yourself. We've handled more deaths in the past 2 years.
No.
Please, don't do
I
that.
wouldn't do that.
Okay.
If I was to do it, I meant that I would contract a
Company.
tree service.
I think so.
No, I really wouldn't try to do that.
I just didn't want anybody to think they can go out and trim
No, I-
these trees.
No, I would not.
Marcia,
do
you
that.
have my contact information, my cell phone.
I
think
believe
you also, I believe, have Nick's contact information.
Okay.
Stay close with us. Tim, if you can maybe help us get that set up, and then.
And then lastly, real quick, I mean, these are certainly private homeowners, but I mean, the municipality does own property where these power lines go through, Beechwood Park. I mean, so I don't know as far as us tagging on and supporting the residents because our park is there as well. It's something for us to talk about in this meeting, so.
No question about that.
Okay,
I'm
well,
good with doing whatever we can, so.
I
and I'm
appreciate
sure
it. I
Council's
appreciate
not
it.
going to argue that at all, so.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address council? This is certainly your time to do so. Seeing none, we'll close that portion of our meeting, and we'll go to reports of council. Tom, we start off with you first. So Linda, you're up.
Excuse me, Mayor. Just prior to that, I don't know if this would be part of my comments. This is a bit of a budget issue. I was contacted by a few residents via email and phone in regards to if we could reinstate in a couple parks the park leader program. I know there was discussion last year that we possibly would do some parks that we felt
We can discuss that now. I'm okay with that.
that, you know,
You want to do it in your report?
Okay, I'll do it in my report then,
Very
that's
good.
fine.
Linda, you're up and back.
Okay, I'm once again going to announce, because it's the end of this month, the Coffee with Council that will be at the Senior Center. I'd received an email today stating that they were told that it was only for seniors. That's not true. It's for any resident of Monroeville to come up and talk to the council. We're not asking you to join, which you certainly can, that'd be great, but it's your time that you can come and talk to us one-on-one. And Friday, March 27th will be our first one. We'll have it every other month. We'll be switching the council people up as we go along. So the 27th will be Mr. Duncan from the 6th Ward, Mr. Johns from the 4th Ward, Mr. Harvey from the 3rd Ward. I, as the liaison, as will be an informational session, will be able to attend. If anybody would like to call me and tell me you want me to come from my work, feel free to. Secondly, when the Blue Ribbon Committee was discussed, a lot of people sent in their information asking to be put on the committee. At that time, I stated Human Needs and Resources was doing basically the same thing, asked people if they would please send in their information if they'd like to join that committee. It's kind of do the same thing. And I've not received anything from anyone, so again, I'm going to put that out there. The Human Needs and Resources Committee has put a survey together. It is online, the Monroeville Municipal website. Please go on. It takes about 5 minutes. They're gathering the information to see what they can do to help everybody out with whatever seems to be the biggest need. Also, again, please get your book for the Senior Center. There's tons and tons of information in here. It's for 50 and older, so that takes care of a lot of us. And
Speak for yourself.
yeah. I'll have the van pick you up. And lastly, again, I want to send out my sincere thanks and appreciation to all of our volunteer firefighter, the men and women that put their lives on the line to save not only our homes and our families, and this, this weather's been horrible for everybody, but especially them out there with the water. So, someone said to me, it's not my job to be a cheerleader up here. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but I think it is. I think you need to give compliments to staff, to people that do good jobs. And so, yes, I will be a cheerleader when it's needed. Thank you.
All righty. Nick? I'm sorry?
Did you want to have the resident speak?
Oh, yeah, sure.
A little out
Oh, I
of,
called up, I didn't know you
out of
signed
protocol.
in, but come on up, that's fine.
out of protocol, we breezed over one of the residents, so
Sorry.
the floor is yours.
Oh, you're going to be fast around here.
Sorry, I am basically seconding what Marcia said. My name is Hillary Cook, and I live at 140 Monticello Drive. My entire family was devastated when they heard that the trees may be cut. Those are the only mature trees on our property, and they would all be removed. We actually started looking at other houses to wondering if we wanted to move somewhere else if these trees were going to be cut down. My 12-year-old daughter came tonight because she feels so strongly about this. I also have a degree in environmental science. I took environmental law. I understand that the company does have the right to remove these trees does have the legal right to remove these trees from our property because they do fall within the easement. However, I also understand not only the impact that it would have on us as residents, but the environmental impact that it would have. There is a steep drop-off from the back of my property, or from the end of the not from the end of the easement, right after the transmission lines. There's a steep drop-off down to our neighbors. There's already been vast amounts of runoff that goes down when there's heavy rainfall. And if you were to remove those trees, which are the only trees in the area, I can only imagine the greater impact that heavy rainfall would have.
That's good information.
And I'm very interested in attending any other meetings.
Well, and also, we've had a lot of trees lost back in Haymaker area, back in Ramsey area, from the ash borers. So we've lost a ton of trees already, and those lines do come back, like to Westminster. Those lines continue on. So we have lost a lot of trees just due to those ash borers. I don't want to see any more of the trees taken away for no reason.
Yeah.
So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Well, we're going to do everything we can on our end, and, and as it was mentioned, maybe even, we have trees too on municipal property they may want to, eradicate, and that's not a good thing either, so hopefully we don't have to go into any kind of lawsuit type of deal, but hopefully we can work it out, and I'm just going to stay on the positive side and say, I think we'll give it our best shot. How's that?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I apologize. Because when I called for coming up, I thought you didn't want to come up. I saw you signed in after he brought it up. I just thought you didn't want to come up,
that's
so
okay. That's
I
fine.
apologize
Thank
for
you.
that. Now, Nick.
Okay. All right, Mayor, Mr. Harvey brought up on Thursday about the county changing their open burning policy, burning ordinance at a county level, which does impact Monroeville. And I had some residents asking me about the stipulations, so I was wondering if we could maybe get that on our website, the link to that document. And furthermore, our website, IT does a good job, Tina and Andy, getting information on there, but maybe we could look at some of these more pressing documents that people typically have questions about, open burning, maybe the noise ordinance, garbage collection, things like that, and have them a little more in one section perhaps. So if the county open burning ordinance could go online, that'd be great. And then, Mr. Little, we talked on Thursday about the Bohinski naming at the community park. Is there something that we need to do officially at this meeting?
Well, yeah, that is not a public road, which I think when we talked about it on Wednesday, it was a public road. It is a municipal road. So it was changed with other roads that were changed, private roads in the community back in 2012. And this one could be changed under resolution, which wouldn't be done until April. Now,
Mr. Dice has a different opinion.
Well, I don't have a different opinion. Keep going. You brought up Wednesday, or Thursday.
Thursday.
So it is something that you did discuss and could be voted on tonight, or you could do it by resolution in April. It's up to you.
Yeah, a motion carries, you can do it by motion if you want.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if council's in, agreement with that, I would make a motion to rename Gazebo Lane at the community park to Bohinski.
Boulevard.
Was it Boulevard what,
Boulevard works.
the majority wanted? So your Gazebo Lane to Bohinski Boulevard, if we could make that change, so I'll make that motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Sharon, please.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. John?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Dr. Griesach?
Aye.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Nick, continue.
Yes, and then furthermore on that, if we could certainly contact the family and let them know this is happening and
Okay.
have an unveiling for them.
Registry signs.
Yeah, it'd be great. And then is there something that we need to do with dispatch, Chief Cole? Or is that just something that they will just
We have
automatically
to,
do?
what we do is we change the municipal map, and when that occurs, we have to send notification not only to our dispatch center, but the county dispatch center and to the utility companies.
Okay.
And the post office.
Very
That'll
good.
be
I know there's no
interesting.
postal addresses, but we still have to do that.
So you'll handle that?
Yes, sir.
We just have to rename it tonight?
That's correct.
Thank you, great. Okay, very good. Thank you, council. And then Recreation and Parks Advisory Board, we announced on Thursday, the upcoming events are the Easter egg hunt, which is Saturday, March 28th at the Community Park West. Activities begin at 10 a.m. Ages 2 through 10 are welcome. No pre-registration is required. It's always a great event. The Recreation Department always does a great job with that. So that is Saturday, March 28th, 10 a.m. And then that same day, March 28th, at Heritage Park, there is the annual Doggy Easter egg hunt. There is a costume contest, which begins at 2:30.
The pet or the owner?
Both pets and owners can dress up, feel free.
What do you say to that?
I don't know. It's always a good event. And then they have actually Easter eggs filled with doggy treats. So it's always a neat event, and it's well attended. However, that does require pre-registration. So if you could contact the Recreation Department to pre-register for that event, that's March 28th, 2:30 p.m. at Heritage Park, the dog park off of Saunders Station Road. The family Easter egg hunt is that earlier that day, 10 a.m., the 28th. Please come out and enjoy these great events. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, sir. Ron?
First of all, I wanted to advise council that there is no need to address the additional police radio repeater in the Minerva Mall at this time. Chief Cole has come up with an affordable way to fix that problem temporarily, and Chief Cole, along with the Minerva Fire Chiefs, are currently working along for a long-term system upgrade to the entire public safety radio system. We are applying for a large amount of outside funding, which is going to allow us to complete this system. It will be better for the whole public safety communications, including the police, fire, and EMS. It is going to add an additional channel, which will all can share and use in situations like the mall. We can all be on the same channel. And it will also allow us to communicate with the county and other incoming departments. So that is in the works.
Great.
The new county open burning law, just a brief, was requested to just give it to you quickly, so here it is. No person shall conduct or allow to be conducted any open burning of any material except with a permit, fruit preparation for human consumption or recreation. No material other than clean wood, propane, or natural gas may be burned except charcoal in an outdoor fireplace or grill or commercially available fire logs. Wood pallets are also allowed because they are clean wood. Paper of commercial smokeless fire starters are also allowed. The fire is only allowed to be 3 feet wide, 3 feet long, and 2 feet high. It shall be at least 15 feet from the nearest neighbor dwelling or inhabited area, any property line, roadway, sidewalk, or public access. Open burning use of fire pits and outdoor fireplaces may only be conducted with the above materials, so the stuff I just read you. Open burning must be tended by a responsible person. It is prohibited, could be determined a nuisance if it causes air pollutants, duration and frequency of the open burning, depending on where it is in its surroundings and the meteorological conditions. Any violation upon discovery of a fire shall be extinguished. Any municipal local government, meaning police, code enforcement, fire department, can enforce the law. That's the brief. I saw a note in my mail in the minutes of the Safety Task Force that caught my interest. They made a comment to place addresses underneath the private road street signs so we would know, and Public Works and the fire departments and police department would know those addresses belong to, say, Logan's Ferry Road or whatever street they came off of. Not only did I like that idea, I wanted to make a suggestion that, excuse me, when streets run two different directions off a main drag, like Knoll Drive off College Park, maybe they could put the 100 blocks underneath the name of the road on each side, because one side's 300 and the other side's 400. There's a lot of streets in Monroeville like that, like Northern Pike, Cottage Lane, for example, that have 100 blocks running different directions. And for that matter, anytime we have to replace a sign on a long street, like Ramsey Road, James Street, College Park Drive, maybe we could put the 100 block underneath the street name. It would much help emergency responders. I've seen these in other communities, and I've never had the opportunity to really bring it up. I haven't anything more for the people that live up on McClure Road on the Waterline project, other than it's the last time I talked, I think, to Paul, I think they are going to go down the middle of the street, are they not?
Within reason, yes.
Yeah, and
They're going to be within the road right away.
are they going to notify the residents up there when that's?
Yeah, they're working, Jamie Story is working with them to make proper notification to the neighbors.
There's the answer to that.
Well, just go along with what Ron's saying. Do you know, have they given you an idea how long it's going to take for this project?
That's the key.
They have.
Okay, why don't you tell
And
us,
I'm going to say it was 3 months.
commencing when?
They've already commenced.
I know. So are we in a month, or are we?
Yeah, they started at the beginning of March.
So you think it's another 2 or 3 months to go?
Correct.
If anybody up in that area has any more questions, I'd be happy to research them and find out the answers for you. But that's as much as we can tell you right now. I believe the new Bruner Drive street light has been installed. I wanted to thank council for allowing us to do that. I got a report here, I think council, the rest of council got that PennDOT's going to be doing some traffic counting, and I just wanted people of the roads that I see listed, the only two in my ward are Edgemead Court and Seco Road. There are some other roads around the borough that they're going to be doing some traffic counting on. I just wanted to let you know they're going to be out there this year. And last but not least, I got this really interesting news release from the Monroeville Mall. And it says, Monroeville Mall to launch a multi-million-dollar renovation. And basically, without reading you the whole thing, today officials with the Monroeville Mall announced a multi-million-dollar renovation project for over 1 million square feet of the shopping center. The project is slated to begin this month and is to be completed in time for the holidays. The quote here is, "We are committed to the Monroeville community, and this reinvestment underscores our dedication." That is from the manager, Tom Gerber. Monroeville Mall will continue its focus on offering shoppers a welcoming, vibrant destination to shop, dine, and spend time with their families and friends. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but wow, what a great piece of news. I thank the Monroeville Mall for showing their support in Monroeville and their dedication to making us a better community and not letting the recent incidents affect a very large income to Monroeville and a place for the residents to go shopping. And they also had announced a free family fun day. It's Saturday, March 14th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and it has to do with kids, families, friends. Again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you might want to take note of those days because they're sponsoring this Easter Bunny, Princess Party, fashion show, random acts of kindness, and more. It says, so that is it.
Well, Ron, you brought up a good point on the signage on the roads. Do you want to see if council's okay? We can our department takes care of it.
I don't know, I didn't know if it took any action from council, but it would sure be nice if they, A, were replacing street signs, would put signs up with the 100 block under them, and B, that would take care of it, of the whole issue.
Should we do it?
Especially those, they call them paper streets. They run off the larger streets when houses are sitting further back in. Because the road department, police department, EMS, they don't know where that address is unless they see it on the sign sometimes. So,
Why don't we have the administration why don't you take a look at this, Paul, and come back to us next month? Tell
I
us what you
think it's just a matter of the manager giving direction to Public Works to establish.
See, that's what I
the
think.
system.
I mean, there's a lot of street signs, and it will be associated with quite a
Okay,
cost.
does everybody agree that the manager should give them the direction?
You don't
Yeah,
want
do it
to,
Would these be just done whenever it's time to replace the sign? We're just not going to run around and start replacing signs, right?
No, correct.
Just when they're due to replace, then they would just add the number. So,
oh, it's not going to be cheap to do if you're going to put an aluminum blank on every street sign in Monroeville. I'm just saying that. You may want to do it in,
Well, that's
but
what
they're saying only when they're due to be
When they get-
replaced.
when it's-
oh, yeah, that would be
Yeah,
great.
only,
Right.
that's
that
only
one is
when
when
then.
there's paper streets,
Right, added on, or,
do
Yeah.
those immediately, but any other time would be just in phases, I guess. It doesn't have to happen all at once.
yeah.
So we given the manager authorization to proceed.
I'd like to make a motion to give the manager authorization to start replacing street signs with the 100 blocks below them.
Second.
As needed.
As needed.
As needed.
You mentioned, Ron,
At his discretion.
okay, you mentioned about paper streets.
For example, there is several drives up off Logan's Ferry Road that those people, the only reason why that paper street has a name is because of the CAD systems for the county and our dispatch system. That driveway is not known as anything, so it was given a name. But their address is really still Logan's Ferry Road.
Extension.
Right, so those we want to get replaced right away because when they're looking for those houses that sit back in, they don't know what addresses are back there.
Okay.
So, and those exist in multiple places around Monroeville. Paul Caleri, for example, the street, that's a paper street, correct?
Gotcha, yes, yes.
And how many houses are back on your,
There's 2 on Haymaker, there's 3 off of Haymaker.
and that's what I mean. But your address is really Haymaker Road, is it not?
Correct.
So,
Motion and a second. Sharon, just do a real quick roll call, please.
Mrs. Gatos?
Aye.
Dr. Griesbach?
Aye.
Mr. Harvey?
Aye.
Mr. Johns?
Aye.
Mr. Caleri?
Aye.
Mr. Duncan?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Tim, you have your
and my report.
mission. Please. End of your report.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'd like to announce again what's going on at the convention center, but before I do, a quick question to Mr. Hugus. I told
Yes,
a few of the residents I would ask,
Yes, sir.
what's going on with the fence on Burt Drive and down Northern Pike that's fallen down everywhere,
It is being evaluated.
is being evaluated?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's good enough. Monroeville Convention Center. Westpac Spring Job Fair is Wednesday, March the 11th. The golf show is Friday the 13th through the 15th. The Arts and Crafts Spring Festival is March 20th through the 22nd. The Camp Coins and More Promotions is the 20th of March through the 22nd. The PERC Job Fair, Wednesday, March 25th. Showbiz National Talent Show is Friday, the 27th through the 29th. The Western PA Kennel Club Dog Show is Saturday, April 4th, and Sunday, April 5th. And the Steel City Con is Friday, April 10th through the 12th. That's everything that's going on at the convention center. And just one other thing, I'd like to say good luck to Bob Gibson and his crew with the Memorial Day Parade. With that, I'm done.
Paul?
I have just one thing, Mr. Mayor. This one's near and dear to my heart. At the Monroeville Sports Center, Sunday, March 15th, from 8 a.m. to noon, they're having an event called Turning Type 1 Towards Hope. This is geared towards young kids that have recently been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. For these kids, it's a complete change of lifestyle, a complete life change for the rest of their lives. And this just gets a group of children all with the same element together, so they know that they are normal and they can function normally like all the other children. So I'll be there with my daughter, and I encourage everybody else to come out. That's all I have for tonight.
You want to make an announcement on the date one more time and a time?
March 15th from 8 a.m. till noon at the Monroeville Sports Center.
And since that's really very serious, would you put that on the website? Please, thank you. Anything else for us, Paul?
Thank you. No, that's it.
Steve?
Yeah, I would just bring back the idea of the summer park counselors. I know whenever we eliminated that last year, I've got quite a few, complaints and residents concerned who would like to see it come back, and I believe we had some talk in that order as to where we may bring it back for some of the higher volume parks. Now, granted, some parks didn't get any, but from what the Parks and Recreation Department told me, that there was a few. I'll give you an example. Pioneer Park, Bellwood, it was substantial, the amount.
That was the amount of usage, am I not correct?
I'm sorry?
The amount of people that would attend to those parks.
Right.
They got a park.
Yeah, they have a few
coordinator.
parks that got higher attendance
Right.
than other ones.
Right.
And I would just like to know, I believe we budgeted some money for that to come back, and from what I understand, it's like around $1,920 per leader that would be the per park leader for the 8-week program.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
And we did budget for that?
Yeah, we have money budgeted for that program.
And then
For how many parks?
I'd like to
Because
propose Pioneer and Bellwood. to
I
be-
thought Mr. Estock was going to give us some kind of
The statistics.
statistic as to,
Attendance.
yeah, what parks we.
He does have that.
Okay, because is this going to be our summer picks? Like people that want to work in the summer, are we going to use,
I'm sure it would be. It's the
Those
way it's been
individuals?
done in the past.
It'll become part of that.
it would become part of that program?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Tim, is that right as far as the budget?
No, I mean, no, the park leaders aren't your picks for your.
naturally, they're summer
Does it-
kids.
But does it
They're
come out of
summer
our?
help, but they're not your individual pick.
Oh, no. Like if
Yeah.
the park would happen to be Pioneer, it wouldn't necessarily be my pick.
Right.
Because it's in my ward. It would be one of the summer individuals that applied for it.
Okay, so we're going to get that statistics then, so we know what parks that we're looking at? Or do you already know that, Mr. Little?
No, I don't know that. I'll get those off of Paul.
I believe there was 4 parks listed that he said were of substantial volume.
Yeah, Pioneer and Bellwood were two.
And there was
The
a
ones
couple
that did
others.
not have a lot of attendance was, I didn't bring them with me, were, Hawkeye was one, I remember.
Why don't you just have Paul email you that information and send it
Sure.
out to council?
And just to clarify, Mr. Little, so Mr. Duncan mentioned it was $1,900 per park leader. So would that come out of the budget for summer help, for all the summer help budget?
That would come out of the Human Services Leisure Program. I think there's $25,000 budgeted in that account line item. However, all of that is just not all for park leaders. There's other things in there for,
Right, but I'm trying to get at is if we were to replace this with park leaders, would that take away jobs for maybe public works for the people who cut the grass and things like that, the college kids that cut grass?
not to my knowledge, no.
It's not the same.
No.
Not the same.
No, that's a different account.
Okay.
That's different.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Tom?
I don't have a whole lot tonight, but I'd like to thank the senior center for lowering the age for people that are able to participate in the programs. And I feel now that I can, that they've lowered the age limit, now I can participate in the program.
You're more than welcome, Tom.
And that's all I have.
Very good.
Okay, I'll be real quick as well, and St. Patty's Day is coming up, so all those that are Irish, enjoy, and all those who wish they were Irish, enjoy the day as well. And this is the fun part being mayor sometimes. I get to do, and then make some great announcements, and this is from Mr. Elvin Henderson. He's the Emergency Management Coordinator, Chief of Emergency Services for Allegheny County. And he sends a letter to Dear Mr. Henderson, this came from Glenn Gannon. In accordance with the requirements delineated in the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Services Code, Section 7502E2, and the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Directive 2011-2, Emergency Management Certification and Training, it is my honor and privilege to confirm and certify the completion of the advanced certification training requirements to Mr. Kenneth Cole as the Emergency Management Coordinator for Monroeville Borough, Allegheny County. I ask that you convey the appreciation of the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, PEMA if you will, to Mr. Cole for successfully completing the second phase of the Career Development Program. And again, Mr. Gannon said, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Cole, Monroeville Borough, Allegheny County, for helping to secure the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania readiness for disasters and emergencies. And this kind of give you an idea, and let's give Doug a nice round there. As you all know, that is one of the biggest things as mayor and our chief of police is public safety. That's our number one, if you will. And certainly the emergency services, I don't know what to say, without our fire department, our police and EMS, we would certainly be in trouble. And Doug, I sincerely, as mayor, would like to just thank you for your dedication to it. And I'm very proud that you're representing us as our emergency management coordinator. And with that, I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.